Hello, I'm Pastor Dwight Bennett, Vice President and Director of Schools for Harvest Preparation International Ministries. Today, I would like to first say thank you to all of you who personally or as a church donated money last year for all the great work that God gave us to do. I pray that God would totally bless you for your generous giving. 2022 was an amazing year. For sure, our great work in Africa is no longer flying under the radar, as the enemy attempted to harass and derail us from accomplishing what God gave us to do. We traveled twice this past year to Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and Burundi, starting 70 more schools with approximately 2,800 new students. We held multiple facilitator and leadership conferences and worked in several crusades that saw hundreds saved and healed. Many women's lives were transformed through incredible women's ministry. We opened several new doors this past year. One new relationship is with a denomination of 1.4 million members who want us, through the schools and conferences, to begin to train their vast network of leaders. The testimonies of the results of our work are too vast to share in this type of format. But over the last 5 years in Burundi alone, we have had over 780 documented testimonies of how our schools and conferences have totally transformed pastors, churches, families, and quite frankly, cities for Jesus. Our work in Central America in 2022 has experienced great growth as well. We made 4 impacting trips into Mexico, where we trained over 75 leaders to start Bible schools in many regions of the country. We are anticipating 25 to 30 new schools opening this year from these training sessions. We held impacting women's meetings and leadership conferences that transformed lives and opened new doors for future ministry. We're excited to announce that we met a group of high-level leaders from Venezuela, and they want to start 50 schools in this coming year. We have agreed to help them become the next nation to receive training from the Harvest Preparation Schools of Ministry. Well, that leads us to 2023, where we will hit the ground running in January with 2 major events. On January 22nd, a team of 4 will be heading to Africa for several ministry opportunities. First, we will travel to Burundi to graduate over 500 students from our schools of ministry in multiple graduations. This brings our total number of grads to over 5,000 in that nation alone so far. Next, we will begin training leaders from the Pentecostal Church, the largest denomination in Burundi with over 1.4 million members. We'll be starting their first 15 schools. Next, we'll be gathering approximately 150 of our Harvest Prep Schools of Ministry facilitators for 2 days of intense leadership training and encouragement. We will also have our 20 regional directors there, and I cannot wait to hear all the testimonies of what God has done since last year's meeting. Every province of the nation will be represented at this conference. And we'll finish our time in Burundi preaching in churches and sharing in a 2-day crusade where hundreds will find Jesus as Savior and as healer. We plan to bring 45 projectors and hard drives, bringing the total number of equipment in Burundi to well over 300 units. After this trip, more than 10,000 students will be a part of our schools there. We will then travel to the neighboring nation of Rwanda for 7 days of ministry. We will begin our time gathering our national directors and facilitators together for 2 days of training, encouragement, and dialogue to set the course for continued growth in 2023. Then our team will move to the east and north for leadership conferences. When we finish, we will join back together in the capital city of Kigali to celebrate a graduation for 3 schools and 100 students. Rwanda will receive 15 projectors and hard drives that will enable them to grow in 2023. Next, we will be sending a 6-member team from our HPIM Mexico group into Venezuela for facilitator and leadership training to open our first 15 schools to train over 400 excited leaders. This group will be bringing 15 projectors and hard drives to Venezuela, and we will also purchase 2 copiers for them in country during this grand opening celebration. These 2 trips will be the first of many trips that will take place in both regions throughout 2023. This is clearly a season of time that God has thrown the doors wide open for us to minister to His great leaders around the world. On these 2 trips, Harvest Preparation International Ministries will be bringing 75 projectors and hard drives and hosting multiple conferences. Team travel costs, conference and equipment costs, as well as mission support for our in-country teams will be approximately $27,500. Would you consider being a part of these life-changing trips by making a generous year-end gift to the ministry? Well, we have 2 easy ways you can give. First, you can go to redeemers.life and hit the Give button and go to Designated Giving and give to the Africa Project. Or you can go to hpim.org and hit the Give button there. You can always send a check as well, and you can send that check to the address listed below, and please mark in that check memo 2023 Mission Gift. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to share the great things that Harvest Prep is doing, and I thank you so much in advance for your giving. May God richly bless you all.